My brothers and sisters, peace be upon you all. I want to speak to you from the heart today about something that deeply touched my soul, something that reminded me of the hidden power of sincerity and human connection. You all know me as a man who stands firmly for the sovereignty of Africa, as a soldier who has never bowed to the false gods of wealth and fame, as someone who has often spoken with courage about the hypocrisy of those who claim to bring freedom while living off the suffering of others. I have never been easily impressed by celebrity, by glittering lights, or by the empty applause of the powerful. Yet what I witnessed in this encounter with Ellen DeGeneres left me speechless, for it revealed to me the mystery of how Allah touches hearts in ways we cannot predict. It began with an invitation I almost ignored, an invitation to a global leadership forum in Los Angeles. They said it was to bring together thinkers and leaders to discuss climate change, global development, and cooperation. But in truth, I doubted what a soldier from Burkina Faso could possibly find in common with Hollywood stars and Silicon Valley magnates. I had no desire to stand in rooms filled with people intoxicated by their own fame, yet my advisors urged me to go, reminding me that even in the most unexpected places, there may be hearts ready to listen, and that our message of African dignity, self-reliance, and faith deserved to be heard everywhere, even in the temples of vanity. Ellen DeGeneres was hosting one of the sessions, interviewing various guests. I expected nothing more than the usual polished questions, the kind meant to flatter rather than reveal truth. What is it like to be so young and lead a nation? What is your vision for Africa? How can the West help? Those same old questions that pretend to show care yet are born from assumptions of superiority. Still, I went, determined to speak truthfully, not to impress, but to represent the people who placed their trust in me. The interview began before a live audience. Ellen greeted me with warmth, and I could sense curiosity in her eyes. To my surprise, her questions were not shallow. She asked about our revolution, about why we chose to walk away from certain foreign partnerships, about our plans to educate our youth, about our fight for food sovereignty and independence. I spoke from the heart, and as I did, I saw faces in the audience change. Some were moved, others uneasy, but all were listening. They were hearing truths. The world often silences the truth that Africa's resources have been plundered, that our people have been conditioned to see salvation as something that comes from abroad rather than from within. When the cameras turned off, I thought that was the end. But as I prepared to leave, Ellen's assistant approached me and said she wanted to speak privately. I was curious. Perhaps she wanted to clarify something or smooth over any controversy. I agreed, and they led me to a small room backstage, quiet, simple, with only a table and a few chairs. When Ellen entered, I immediately noticed something different. The smiling television face was gone. She seemed smaller, quieter, almost fragile. She thanked me softly for taking the time to meet. Her voice was sincere, stripped of performance. We spoke for about 20 minutes. She asked about my childhood, my family, my journey from a soldier to a leader. I told her about the discipline of the military, the burden of responsibility, and the power of faith. She listened intently, sometimes nodding, sometimes closing her eyes. Then she spoke about herself, not the star the world sees, but the person behind the curtain. She confessed how fame had worn her down, how the need to maintain a perfect image had crushed her spirit, how she sometimes felt lost in a world that demanded laughter when she felt emptiness. It was a conversation between two human beings, not a host and a guest. As she spoke, I felt moved by her honesty, and when the time came to part, I did something that I had not planned. I reached into my bag and pulled out my personal copy of the Holy Quran, the one I carry everywhere, its pages worn, its edges marked by my notes and tears from past battles and prayers. I told her, Ellen, I want to give you this. It is not to convert you, not to convince you, but to share with you something that has guided me through life's storms. You said you are searching for something real, something deeper. This book has been my light in darkness, my anchor in confusion, my teacher in moments of weakness. It holds wisdom that belongs to all humanity about compassion, justice, humility, and truth. She looked at me with wide eyes. I saw her face soften, her lips tremble, and tears form. She took the Quran gently, held it to her chest, and said, "Thank you for seeing me as a person, not as a brand." That moment stayed with me. It was pure, unguarded, sacred. Then I left for the airport, thinking that perhaps it had simply been one of those rare human exchanges that come and go like passing clouds. 3 days later, a package arrived at my office. Inside was a handwritten letter from Ellen, several pages long, and photographs. My brothers and sisters, what I saw made my heart tremble. The photographs were not for the public. They showed Ellen sitting on the floor of her home, wearing simple clothes, no makeup, no lights, reading the Quran I had given her. In one photo, she was writing notes. In another, she was holding the book close to her face, tears streaming down her cheeks. There was no camera crew, no performance, just a woman alone with truth. Her letter told the full story. She wrote that after our conversation, she could not stop thinking about the peace in my words. That night, she opened the Quran. She had intended to skim through it, but found herself reading for hours. She wrote, "I was shocked to find how much of it spoke to what I've always believed but never lived: justice, compassion, humility. It was like hearing an echo of my own conscience." She stayed up reading until dawn. She described how some verses comforted her, while others confronted her. She said, "Reading about the Prophet Muhammad's humility, about his treatment of workers and the poor, I realized how far I have strayed from the kindness I once preached." Her words were full of pain and honesty. "For years," she wrote, "I built my career around telling people to be kind, yet I was unkind to those who worked for me. I was chasing approval, applause, and I lost myself. Reading this book has forced me to face who I have become." She went on to say that for 3 nights she did nothing but read, reflect, and pray in her own way. She began calling people she had hurt to apologize. She restructured her business to treat everyone with dignity. She began giving away what she did not need, simplifying her life, and using her platform to speak truth, even when it cost her popularity. She ended her letter with words I will never forget. "I do not know where this journey will lead. I am not saying I have converted, but I know that your gift has awakened something in me that fame and fortune never could. You gave me a piece of your soul, and it reminded me of my own. My brothers and sisters, I wept when I read her words. Not because a celebrity had praised Islam, but because I saw in her a reflection of what our faith truly teaches, that hearts can change when truth is shared with love, not pride." Later, when I returned to the United States, Ellen requested another meeting. This time, we met quietly in a park. No cameras, no security, no audience, just 2 souls sitting on a bench under a tree. She showed me a small notebook filled with reflections from her reading. She had written questions about surrender, about justice, about peace. Her curiosity was genuine. She told me, "I don't know if I will ever become Muslim, but I know that I am becoming more human." Those words struck me deeply. I told her, that is what faith is meant to do, to make us more human, more conscious, more compassionate. We spoke for hours. I left that meeting with a heart full of gratitude. I saw in her a reminder that guidance comes from Allah alone. We cannot force it, but we can be vessels for it if we act with sincerity. That day I realized that sharing our faith is not about argument or conquest, it is about presence, about character, about trust. So why do I share this story with you? Because it carries lessons we must not forget. It teaches that real connection can break through walls of fame, ego, and culture. When I gave her that Quran, I was not thinking of dawah or influence. I was simply giving something from my heart. And that sincerity spoke louder than 1,000 speeches. It reminds us that guidance can appear in the most unexpected places. A Hollywood studio can become a place of reflection if Allah wills. It reminds us that even those we assume are lost may be searching silently for light. And it teaches that people are not what the world portrays them to be. Behind every smile there are struggles. Behind every image there is a soul longing for peace. My brothers and sisters, we live in an age of performance, where kindness is branded, where compassion is commercialized. But what Ellen did when no one was watching, sitting on the floor, reading, crying, changing, shows us that sincerity still exists. She did not post it online. She did not seek applause. She let the message work on her heart in silence. And that silence spoke louder than all the noise of her world. This experience also reminded me that we, as Africans and as Muslims, must never underestimate the strength of our own message. We do not need to imitate others to be respected. Our dignity, our spirituality, our authenticity, these are our gifts to the world. When we live by them, even those outside our faith can feel their truth. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was called Al-Amin, the trustworthy one, before revelation. People followed him not because of debate, but because of his integrity. That is the model we must return to. I am not sharing this story to glorify myself or to seek attention. I am sharing it because it reminded me, and I hope it reminds you of what it means to be human. To see beyond the surface, to connect with others through sincerity, to believe that a simple act can change a life. What Ellen did with that Quran was not for cameras. It was between her and her conscience, between her and her Creator. And that, my brothers and sisters, is where true transformation begins. May we all learn to share what is sacred to us with courage and humility. May we never underestimate the impact of a kind gesture made without agenda. And may we always remember that guidance belongs to Allah alone, who can awaken hearts in the most unexpected ways. Thank you, and peace be upon you all.